I think we're in a junction where it's, I gotta be playing. Forget about money. Forget about almost the trophy aspect. I need to be in a good situation where I'm playing every week, because now guys in MLS, they're not playing for relegation or promotion. They're playing for Champions League a year. They're just playing, and they're getting into the team now because they're in a rhythm. They're playing. I need to get back to that. So there's a lot going into this summer.
The big question, though, is that Yunus Musah was also in that Milan game, the 2-2 draw against Fiorentina. And Tones, I'm going to come to you first on this one. He had been sick, so he coming into training or didn't train much, gets the start from Conceição, a lot of trust from Conceição. He makes a mistake early. He just doesn't look good. And they're down 2-0. He gets subbed off in the 23rd minute. And I don't know where you come back from that, frankly. I think Conceição was very warm to him when he came off the field and was warm to him in his comments afterwards. But as a player, I just don't know. That's hard. That's a really hard one. And I don't think it's going to –
yeah.
I don't know where Yunus Musah goes from here. And I guess there's a bigger conversation about whether he's stagnated. And this happens to every player in terms of growth and development, where you kind of – like a rocket ship, sometimes you'll just be on fire, you'll have everything, and then you can't reach those same heights. You're just kind of stuck. And then eventually you'll pop back up again. And I don't know if he's going to pop back up again, given his current situation in Milan.
Well, I mean, he's played a lot, and Conceição has believed in him, right? He's given him opportunities, and unfortunately, that the 24 minutes is coupled with the fact that he gave the ball away at midfield and led directly to the goal. Yeah, it's a strange one, because this is the second time that Yunus Musah has been pulled out in the first half of a game, non-injury related, right? So that's really tough to come back from. As you mentioned, there was a report that Musah had left the field, a player was asked to go down and get him, brought him back. Conceição, said to him, "Hey, look, this is my fault. I got the tactics wrong." He didn't replace him like for like. He didn't put another defensive midfielder in. He put an attacking player in and changed the formation completely. So that's probably how he sold it to him. But you guys know, if you get subbed out in the first half of a game, or you go in at halftime and you get subbed in, you get subbed out at some point in the second half, you know how you're feeling. You're not feeling good about it.
Yeah.
I look at Yunus Musah, and he just hasn't been playing well for a while. And there are the moments where he does something well, but then it ends with a bad ball or a bad shot or a giveaway. And so I think there's two things to this. One, he's only 22 years old and he's at Milan. So he's still relatively young, and he's at a super massive club, high level. I don't think he was necessarily a world beater at Valencia before he made this move anyway. So he was kind of in and out of the team, and then he goes all of a sudden to a massive move to Milan. And that was based on pure potential, given his age. I think now, with a World Cup on the horizon, I think a loan will probably make the most sense for him for next year in a club that is, mid-table, where he's going to play a lot more. And I think he still needs to grow in a lot of areas. He obviously has an incredible foundation as a player, but I think truly he's a central player. He's an 8. He's more like a Darlington Nagbe. He's not your goal scorer. He's not your straight up defensive midfielder. He's that extra midfielder who can get you out of tough problems. He shuttles it left to right. But he hasn't been a player that's been driving at back lines and creating overloads or creating opportunities. That hasn't been him. Can he develop into that? Potentially. But right now, he just needs minutes, and he needs minutes in a position that he's best suited for in the future, in my mind.
No, it's a good point. And I do think if he can get a loan and just play one spot, we've talked about Weston McKennie in this capacity too, where they just play so many different, and Tim Weah, right? They play so many different positions. Man, if they could just stick in one spot and just be great and learn how to be great in that one area of the field, maybe they could really elevate to that other level, as opposed to having to sprinkle their quality in different areas and not really shine at any one particular thing. They're good, but maybe not great. And so I guess we used Yunus as an example here. Are we asking him to be something that he's not? We've seen enough of him. Tony, you actually make a good point. It's not like he's not playing like a Gio Reyna. Like, well, we know he's got potential, and we just need him to. We just need to play it. We just need to see him play more. If he just plays more, but he is playing a lot, and we're still not seeing maybe the end result of what that amount of time should look like. So I wonder if he's hit stagnated, plateaued, whatever the word is here, to what's going to kick him on to that next thing. It's a big question that isn't isolated to him. I mean, we could talk Josh Sargent. Now he's kind of going to be stuck if he's done what he's going to do at the champion. He's almost in some ways outgrown the championship. He can score goals in the championship. He needs to be now cutting his teeth at the next level. Let's even segue to Josh Sargent because the guy has been 14 goals, 5 assists in the EFL championship this season. Even if he gets promoted, Norwich doesn't have any chance. But let's say that they did. We've already seen him in the Premier League playing for Norwich. He's just defending the whole time. So how can he get somewhere too? God, it's such a big summer for so many of our players.
Yes, it is.
It is so, when you start to think about it, player for player, it just becomes absolutely crazy how many guys need to find better situations than they're currently in.
And Jimmy, I think what also compounds the situation is how poor the U.S. men's national team has been playing. So let's say the U.S. took care of business at Nations League. They won their 4th consecutive Nations League trophy. They were balling. Everyone's saying Pochettino's got a hold of the team. That and guys still have massive summers. Because you're saying, okay, do you leave the situation you're in? Do you want to, as a player, we all want to be in a situation where we're playing the best opponents, we're playing with the best possible teammates, and we're making the most money. So you're constantly always evaluating your situation and saying, do I want to make a move that gives me the most money, but also gives me the best chance of playing in the Champions League or winning a trophy? And now we're at I think we're in a junction where it's, I got to be playing. Forget about money. Forget about almost the trophy aspect. I need to be in a good situation where I'm playing every week, because now guys in MLS, they're not playing for relegation or promotion. They're playing for Champions League or Europe. They're just playing, and they're getting into the team now because they're in a rhythm. They're playing. I need to get back to that. So there's a lot going into this summer.
And Pochettino said as much, right, in his early press conference. He said, because he was asked about players not playing, and he said, I don't know if it was his first or press conference or not. Probably was after they had that sit around, that roundtable discussion. But he said, I'm not going to judge that part of it now, but a year out, players need to be playing at their club. Mm-hmm. So let's see. He's clearly talking about what you're talking about, Charlie and Jimmy. This summer, that's what he's talking about. You need to get in a position where you're playing. So let's see if he sticks to all of that. I think he will. I think he will, based on our discussions.
Well, that's what makes the Yunus Musah situation so interesting, because he is playing. He's just not playing well. So yeah, you have that part of the equation. Okay, I'm in a situation. Do I just stick it out here where maybe I don't fit the best, or I'm just being utilized too much? Do I go find somewhere else? God, this is I'm very curious, because to your point, Charlie, if you're the agent of this particular player, mm-hmm. and you're hearing what your national team coach is saying a year out from the biggest World Cup ever, and your potential role within that, and the money that could come with that, right? You want to look at all angles of this. You want to be as Jerry Maguire about this whole situation as you can. And then as the player, you're like, I need to be able to play where I'm being trusted, and where I can show that I can be trusted by our national team as well. Man, there are a lot of layers to what's happening this summer. And I'm curious to see how these individual players within the player pool try to solve these problems. This will be kind of our last part of the conversation.
I mean,
because we can talk about this for another 2 hours.
Think about Turner, Reyna, Musah, Sargent. Then you could throw in Cardoso.
Pepe? Is Pepe fault?
No,
because it depends what Young does.
Well, Pepe just signed a long-term deal with PSV. He's coming back. He's done. He's going to be there. But Cardoso potentially moving this summer. If you go to Tottenham, which he's rumored to go to, and then doesn't play after playing,
that's a risk.
Right? You're now evaluating, is it a risk worth taking the year before World Cup? Where if this was the first year of the cycle, you're jumping with your whole body with 2 feet. You're going. But now it's, does this make sense? And a lot of these players, let's say Gio Reyna finds himself in a good club situation in Europe, a lower league, maybe at the top of the table of that lower league, the top 3, but he's playing consistently, gets healthy. And next thing you know, we have Gio Reyna back to being the kid that we always thought he could be. That's a game-changing player that you could, in essence, get. Yeah. If Josh Sargent moves to a top-level league in Europe, a top 5 league, and maybe it's a mid-table team, but he's banging goals in, and he's scoring goals. No, but maybe he's scoring just as many goals, if not more, on a better team with better players around him, and they have possession. And then maybe he gets another chance and he takes it. These are all hypotheticals, but
of course,
it's just to your point, Jimmy, it's a massive summer.
You're still here? Yes! I absolutely love that. Listen, while I have your attention, if you want more average to good soccer content, this is the channel for you. Go check out our other videos. Go check out our playlists. And if you're really liking what you're seeing, I don't know how you couldn't, hit like, hit subscribe, of course, and then turn on your notifications so that you do not miss anything that we drop or when we go live. We'd really appreciate that. We'll see you next time.